Now, specifically with regard to the ICCPR Act, the former UN Special Rapporteur Ahmed Shahid said, Sri Lanka's ICCPR Act has become a repressive tool, curtailing freedom of thought, conscience and religion or belief. Now, the Act itself is modelled on the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which is an international human rights treaty meant to prohibit national, racial, religious hatred. So, where's the gap then?
So that's the thing. You're asking the right question. The gap in terms of substance doesn't seem to be the problem. The gap seems to be in terms of how it is interpreted and applied. And here's a good example of a model law. So we sometimes point to, say, the Prevention of Terrorism Act and say that there are so many problems in the text of the law, in the substance of the law. And we say, oh, if we replace this law with a better law that complies with or reflects international best practices or international standards, or then we solve the problem. Well, the ICCPR Act is a classic example of why that problem doesn't get solved.
Right.
Because we have a law that word for word replicates Article 20 of the ICCPR, the covenant. But still we have a problem. So the problem is not in the text. The problem is in the interpretation and application. So I would say if we want to deal with this problem, we have to take an institutional approach rather than a legal textual approach where we're thinking about changing the text of the law. I mean, sometimes you do have to change the text of the law. The PTA does need to be reformed, repealed, and the whole process has to go forward. And the government has, on repeated occasions, demonstrated an ability and a willingness to replace this PTA. But the question is, by replacing the PTA, do we solve the problem of potential abuse of the law? The answer is no. And the clue is in the ICCPR Act, where a law which is actually textually fine, in fact a model law, is being repeatedly misapplied. So much so that we have the apex court in the country, the Supreme Court, actually making observations on the fact that this law is being misunderstood, misinterpreted and misapplied.